Because really at the end of the day, right, my last day here alive, my last day on life, what am I going to look back on? What are going to be the things that I'm grateful for? For me, that is family. That is family, that is friendships, that is love. Those are the things that I want to remember on my last days here. I'm Rachel, and you're listening to the Owning Your Sexual Self podcast. Hello, everyone. Our final episode of 2024. I've been going back and forth like, okay, I know I want to do an end of year episode, but I wasn't sure. I'm like, what do I talk about? Is there a topic like that I should cover to end this a year? Or do I just want to share like personal stories? Or I don't know. I just been sitting on this for a couple weeks now, and I just wrapped up a recording that I'm very excited that that's going to come out in 2025. And so I'm all dressed and got my makeup done, and so we're doing it. We hit record and here we are. A little bit of planning, pre-prepping, if you will. Pre-prepping, I don't, that both means the same thing. Prepping, if you will. But I wanted to just recap our year, and so a little bit of both. A little recap for the podcast itself. It definitely went in a different direction this year. And then a little recap on my personal life. So what I just did, I flipped back through my paper planner. I would be lost without my paper planner, and just looked back to that and was like, okay, what did this year hold for me? I literally write down my entire life in this thing. So like, what did this year hold for me? And that was like a nice little 5-minute practice. Some things that kind of stuck out to me. So I wrote them down here on my post-it notes, and so I'll share those things with you. And then again, those podcast stats. So let's start with the podcast stats because, as I said, the show definitely took a different direction this year. You might have noticed that I kind of shied away from weekly episodes, and that's because this year for me, this is one of the things that I wrote down on my reflections. I, for 2024, slowed the fuck down. While simultaneously still doing so much. I know people like they see me in social media, they're like, oh my God, you're killing it, you're doing all the things. But for me, this year felt very slow. It felt like really a transition year for me. I have been going through my own feelings of depression and quite frankly, like an identity crisis is what I keep calling it. I was very involved with the company that I've been a part of for, 10 plus years now, Pure Romance. Many of you know that. And the company really made some changes over the last couple years, and I felt more and more myself kind of falling away from that, like falling away from the product side of things or going out there doing parties, going to the trainings and things like that that they offer. I don't know, just it didn't seem like it fit within my life anymore. Yet I still love the products themselves. I still use the products. I have many, many customers that would be very sad if I left the company because I am their distributor, if you will. I still recommend the products to clients, therapy clients, pure romance clients, all of that. So it is still very much a part of my life. It just looks very different now than it did, let's say 5 years ago. And so there was a lot of struggles with that for me. That was very much a part of my identity. So many people knew me as Rachel Maine Pure Romance, or before I got married, Rachel Busey Pure Romance. And so when I stepped away from that and stopped doing as many parties and stopped being, a part of the board of directors and traveling and doing all the things, I was sitting with the feeling of failure for last year, really, really part of 2021, 2022, 2023, and then finally 2024. I feel like I finally see the light at the end of the tunnel. I'm finally understanding my purpose, where I'm supposed to be in life, the direction that I want to go in. And that feels still a bit confusing, still a bit scary, but also very exciting. So, as I was saying, this year I have very much slowed down. I very much just reflected. I've taken time for myself this year. I have one of my other takeaways that I have here, I have been very family focused for so long. Again, when I was in the grind of my pure romance days, my husband at one point said, "You're eat, sleep, breathe, pure romance." I'd be in my office from, crack of the dawn as soon as I woke up, until the end of day after dark. And, that I was very much in that hustle mentality, doing parties, sometimes two parties in a day. My whole weekend would be parties. I'd missed out on family events, friend events, um, just time at home. And while then I feel like that served its purpose, that gave me meaning, that was where I was supposed to be, that really provided so much for our family. I will never talk bad about those days because they really gave me a lot, right? We were able to have a debt-free wedding, a debt-free honeymoon, paid off my student loans, paid off my car at that time, right? Like so many things. I was able to see so much of the world, for, I'll use my air quotes, free on trips that I earned. Um, I'm very, very grateful for that time. But in looking back, right, like looking back at this past year, one of the things that I wrote down for my highlights is, yes, slowing down and the family focused. I was able to see more family, spend more time with family. One of the things that I did this, I guess it was technically end of last year, but for this entire year, pretty much aside from summer, I've been on a bowling league. The first league that we did was on Thursday nights with my dad, my husband, and my sister. And that was amazing. That was for most of last year and then part of this year. And um, that was really cool because I got to see them every single week. I got to see my dad and my sister every single week. Obviously, I see my husband every single day, but I got to see them every single week. And while that ended up not necessarily being my sister's thing, bowling was not her most favorite thing. That's okay. This fall we did a trio league, so now I'm currently in a league with my dad, my husband, and myself, on Sunday mornings, and that has been super fun. The league itself also is very different. And so just that is just one of the examples, right? Like joining a bowling league, being able to see my dad and my sister every single week, and just flourishing and maintaining that relationship with them. They're two of the most important people in my life, and that has been really neat. Now, had I been back in my hustle mentality, in fact, there was a point in my life where I was asked to be on a bowling league or asked to join a softball league, and I turned those things down because I would have rather gone out and do the parties to make the money, than join the leagues, right? Or go to the birthday parties because, hey, I have this money opportunity. I'd rather do that. And again, that served me for that time, but that is not I'll be my Taylor Swift inspired here. That is not the era that I am in anymore of my life. And so that was really neat. That was one of the things. So being able to strengthen that relationship with my dad and my sister, be able to see them more. Another thing, very out of pocket, if you will, thing that I did this year was I decided to coach my niece's softball team. And so my niece is now 13. She was 12 when she started, and this was her first time ever playing softball. For those of you that don't know me, softball was my thing. Softball was the sport that I was best at growing up. And so when she mentioned, like, hey, I think I want to try out for softball, I want to play softball, I just immediately lit up. And then she joined a community league, a rec league, and found out that they needed coaches. And so, with her permission, it's like, how would you feel about me coaching your softball team? I ended up coaching her softball team for spring, and then we also joined a fall league in a different city. And that was something that truly I didn't know that I needed. As many of you know, if you listen to the show, Danny and I have decided not to have kids. And so my niece and nephew are essentially our kids, right? Like we get to live the parent life slash be the best aunt and uncle that we possibly can to them, and giving them all the experiences and doing all the fun, kid related things with them. And so that was really neat, not only to be around my niece, but to just also be around other girls, right? Like young girls, and to be able to be in that role and to have an influence and just leave my thumbprint on that part of life for them was something really, really cool and very, very inspiring to be able to be seen in that light, to be, seen as the title of coach, in much different than a sex coach, right? But a athletic coach, was super neat. And that was also inspired. My niece played basketball for the first time this year, and well, last season rather. So she's getting ready to try out again for her school team just here in the next couple of weeks. And so her getting into sports again, going to all her sporting events, being able to spend time with family like that. Oftentimes we would go out to dinner afterwards, and again, just like those are things that I would have previously missed out on. I again being in that hustle mindset, I would have missed out on those things. And so that yeah, joining the coaching crew. The first season I got to coach with my sister-in-law Sam, which that in itself that helped strengthen our relationship. We were able to get closer with one another, talking every day during the coaching season around who to play, who to help out more at practices, what to do, our competitions. That was really neat to be able to just flourish that relationship. And then the fall season, Danny and I coached, and I always say, like, if we were able to coach a youth softball team together without wanting to rip each other's heads off, like that to me is a relationship win. Um, so I guess I said I was going to go with down the podcast stats here, but we're just going down the personal life journey. So I appreciate y'all listening. All right. So in that moment, and it's funny because so one of the things I want to mention this word too, because this is the end of year podcast. Every year around this time of year, I like to listen to the book called One Word. One Word That Will Change Your Life. It might actually be called, but it's a red cover. It's about an hour and a half listen. It's super short, super quick. And it talks about the concept of coming up with your word for the year. And I've been listening to this book every year around this time of year for many years. And just going through a process to be able to come up with my word, come up with my focus, if you will, for the year. And this year, my word going into 2024 was fun. Fun, very simple, but I wanted to have fun. And I really think that I did a very good job of that. I had so much fun coaching the softball. I have so much fun on the bowling league. Another thing to note that I did this year that was very different for me was I joined a book club, an in-person book club. And one of the things that I wanted to do when we moved into this house was to build my community, like build more friendships with people that lived closer by to us. And by joining this book club, this is literally right around the block for me. I was able to do that. And so these are also people now that we boat with. We go to their holiday party every year. Like there's many couples and relationships that I've built throughout this book club that are very important and meaningful to me. And also that I would say that's another accomplishment for the year, reading. I started reading 2 years, got back into reading 2 years ago when we were on our Christmas cruise. And so literally this month, 2 years now that I've gotten back into reading since they really fell off of reading after college. And I am about to finish my 100th book for the year, which is insane. So when I say, slowing down, yes, I feel like I did a lot, but I've also like just given myself so much time to just be and to sit and read, no TV. Our No TV Tuesday is one of our favorite activities that we do. I have a podcast episode on that if you're interested in learning more. But being able to slow down, being able to spend more time on me, being able to spend more time with family, because really at the end of the day, right, my last day here alive, my last day on life, what am I going to look back on? What are going to be the things that I'm grateful for? And for me, that is family. That is family, that is friendships, that is love. Those are the things that I want to remember on my last days here. And so fun being the word. I think that I did a pretty damn good job of that. And now I'm right now in the phase of life trying to figure out what my word is going to be for 2025. So stay tuned for that. And we also like to do this practice for ourselves as a couple. So Danny and I like to come up with a word for our relationship, our marriage entering into the year. And so, connection was our word for this year. And same thing, right? Like being able to connect more, being able to communicate more with each other. We had just experienced some harder times this year, harder financial times, which I will fully admit, right, comes out when I stepped out of my hustle mindset. There was financial changes that came with that. And, again, going through and having more clarity throughout this year, that feels okay, that felt necessary, that felt humbling. I felt like I learned a lot from going through that phase of our life. So, all right, what else did I have on my list? We took two trips this year. We got to go to Boston for the first time. We did that trip over Memorial Weekend, going to Wrigley Field. That was really cool. Oh my God, was it Wrigley Field or was it Fenway? Now I can't even remember. I'm a terrible Boston visitor. I'm like, it was Fenway, right? I should Google that real quick. And anyways, that was really neat being able to go over to Salem and do all the witchy stuff. That was really cool. Being able to just see the city of Boston. We had a really, really fun time, and that was just the two of us. And then we had our New Orleans trip in October, so that was just a few months ago. Got to go and see Taylor Swift again. I think that was my 11th, was that my 11th time? I think I counted my 11th time seeing her. We got to celebrate Danny's birthday there. My cousin, and my couple of our friends went with us, and it was just a super, super, super fun time. So I think that is everything. We talked, joined a book club, coach softball, family focused time, joined a book club, coach softball, was more family focused, slowed down, did the bowling leagues. Oh, went to Boston, went to New Orleans. And then lastly, as I said, I slowed down, but also did so much. So also in 2025, I launched Wellness Expertise as a private practice. I have owned the company Wellness Expertise since 2019, and then this year decided to transition and become my own boss again, essentially in a much different way, and now own private wellness expertise as a private practice. And so I see individuals and couples and provide sex therapy along with other types of therapy, but mainly focused in sex therapy. And that has been super cool. A lot of hoops to jump through to make that a real thing, but that has been really cool to be able to have freedom in scheduling and taking on clients and taking vacations and still doing the podcast. That is a huge reason why podcast episodes shifted to bi-weekly, because there was just a lot of mental drain. I needed a lot of mental capacity for the private practice stuff. But with 2025, we've already batch recorded many episodes. We're actually recorded up through February of 2025 right now. So I'm really excited to get back to weekly episodes with you guys. We've had many already amazing guests that I've been able to pre-record with. I'll also be shooting to do one solo episode every single month in 2025, something similar to this, but also might be more topic based. But yeah, I know a lot of you listen to the show to hear the information and to use it as a resource, but I know that there is a lot of you also that listen because you like to hear my story and what's going on in my life and our life. And I kind of mentioned the hardships that Danny and I have been through, and I plan to record about that. I plan to, when I get to a place where I feel fully out of it and I'm at that place where I can truly look back and reflect, there will be an episode. So stay tuned for that. All right. And then speaking of the podcast, so Owning Your Sexual Self in 2024 was in the top 25% of podcasts on Buzzsprout, which is insane. Top 25%, very, very much an honor. We launched 19 episodes. Okay, again, very, very low given that we came off of weekly episodes. Again, this is something that I just surrendered to. I recorded when I felt inspired to, and so that left us with 19 episodes. And of course, that's not including this episode or the last couple episodes. Buzzsprout sent me this recap at like end of November when the Spotify Wrapped thing was going on. Most popular city for downloads was Detroit. Shocker, that's where I'm from. We got Detroit, Chicago, Alabama. Oh, okay. Detroit, Michigan, Chicago, Illinois, Arab, Alabama, Dallas, Texas, and Sydney, Australia are our top locations. Top countries: United States, Canada, Australia, United Kingdom, and Germany. And our top episodes. So if you haven't yet listened to these episodes and you want to join the bandwagon, you want to join the trend, our top episodes are number 44, top blowjob tips from the queen herself. That's me. I'm queen. 199 is Mastering Sexual Communication Techniques and Intimate Wellness with Susan Bratton. Amazing, amazing, amazing episode. Audio Erotica with Lala's Bedtime Tales. Love that. Lala is somebody that records audio erotica and uh, sexy stories, if you will. And number 198, Understanding the Power of Your Subconscious with Kate Scheller. This was an amazing episode. We were talking about hypnotherapy as it relates to, and hypnosis rather, as it relates to sexuality, which was a really, really cool conversation. And then episode 193 was with me, actually. That was a solo episode. And that one, episode 193, is the fuck first rule that I recorded, inspired by Vanessa and Xander Marin. And that was when I was listening to their book, Sex Talks. And the fuck first rule is all about having sex before the event. So that, well, you got to listen to the show, but highly recommend the fuck first rule. We had 21,000 downloads, 19 episodes, 76 countries listened, and 701 minutes recorded. Again, top 25% of all shows on Buzzsprout, which very, very cool. So that is your wrap of a year, if you will. A little bit of my personal story, a little bit of the podcast graphics for you. Some of my favorite episodes I wanted to share from the year is, let's see, we talked about a lot of different things. I think one of my favorites was I recorded 196, Where to Start with Impact Play. This one was really fun to record. This would be for my kink curious people. That would be a good one to listen to. For the men that are listening to the show, number 197, Why Men Need Male Friends. I recorded that with my friend Jordan Bowditch. That one, yes, super, super helpful for the dudes that listen. I recorded an episode on my communication guide. So if you go to rachelmaine.com and go under resources, you will be able to download for free my communication guide. And this episode accompanies that guide, if you will. So it kind of gives you a breakdown of what it means and language and how to use it and all of that. Let's see. I'm just scrolling through the show really quickly. Ooh, we had a great episode with guest Aubrey Lancaster on exploring asexuality and aromanticism. Again, just covered a lot of topics that just aren't getting talked about for, out there in the universe, if you will. The episode with Janae Lambert, so fun. We were exploring fantasies. We created a sex bucket list with her. That was very fun. I loved the double episode that we did. This was probably my favorite episode of the year. The episode that I probably most shared so far on the podcast. It's super fresh, so that's why I didn't hit the top 5 for the year. But navigating relationship ruptures with Dr. Allison Ash, and then part 2 of that was navigating affairs, understanding healing and rebuilding trust, also with Dr. Allison. And those two, that's episode 208 and 209, highly recommend. And then lastly, the last one before this episode launch was with my sex coach bestie, Jordan Tennell, and we went through hormone testing one-on-one on that episode, which I believe is a great resource for people that are wanting to explore and just have a better understanding of their hormones. We go through and talk about the hormones, we give education on them, and then also go through who and why somebody would want to have that specific hormone tested. So very insightful, very educational episode. And again, yeah, we've already batch recorded many episodes for 2025. I'm very, very, very much looking forward to it. Just to give you a little taste, I've recorded a podcast on genetic testing. I've recorded a podcast about soft cock. I recorded a podcast about out of control sexual behavior. So make sure you subscribe to the show so that you get notifications whenever new episodes come out. And I also look forward to getting back into more workshops, in-person and virtual workshops for 2025, continuing with the private practice, continuing with some other things. And yeah, I'm still out here. I'm still doing the work that I was meant to do and set on this earth to do. So with that being said, Happy New Year to you all. Thank you, thank you, thank you so much for continuing to listen to the show, continue to support and put us in top 25 of episodes, or shows rather. That is super cool. I hope you all have a joyful, prosperous 2025. If you have topics, questions, anything that you would like for us to talk about on the show, please send them over to me. You can hit me up on Instagram at the_Rachel_Main, or email the show, wellnessexpertise@gmail.com. All that. So have a happy new year, everyone. Thanks so much for listening, and I will see you in the next year. Thank you so much for listening to today's show. If you loved it, be sure to subscribe so that you never miss an episode. And if you really fucking loved it, make sure to tag me on social media at @the_Rachel_Main. I'll see you next week.